Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Hey, Carolyn Muse.
Y'all, we are getting ready to go on the radio, and I'm excited about it. And seems like they're playing extra long commercial today. So we are on. Exciting.
Yes, it's gonna be a good show. We hope y'all call in. Call your friends that know that they're looking for a house. Call them. If they're gonna sell a house, call them. It's a seller's market. It's gonna be good today.
Yep. It was running later today. We're a couple minutes behind.
Here we go. All right. Where my girls at? It's going down tonight. It is going down tonight. You can't hear me? Hey, you guys, it's radio station time.
You hear me? We are on the radio. Crisette is our host today, and we're getting her volume together.
Hello. Welcome, you guys. We're waiting. There you go, Chris. There you go. Hey.
Okay, thank you. Well, great day, everybody. Great day. I'm excited to be here with my girls. Where my girls at?
Live on the radio.
Having a little technical problems on today, but it's all good. Well, I want to welcome you to another amazing show of We Got Issue. It's another beautiful Wednesday in Detroit, and you are listening to We Got Issues on 910 a.m., the Superstation WFDF radio, and it is your girl, Crisette Ellis from the D, having technical problems, cords falling out, on mute, trying to unmute, all of that. But we're excited to be here with you today. If you didn't figure it out, I'm the sassy and classy one. And if you haven't figured out who the other girlfriends are, put it in the chat. Yes, it takes all types to make up our girlfriend tribe. You know, we have the crazy ones, the bossy ones, the techie ones, the messy ones, the funny ones, and the list goes on and on. So this is your opportunity to call your girlfriend. Hey, you might have some boyfriends. Call them and tell them to check us out. They can download the 910 AM Superstation app, and they they can catch us live on either the Force of Friendship or 9:10 a.m. the Superstation Facebook page. Well, you guys, we have a lot to talk about, and we absolutely want you to be a part of the conversation. So call us at 313-778-7600. Again, that's 313-778-7600. Well, you guys, today on our show today, we are going to be talking about something that all of us can relate to in some way. We're going to be talking about housing discrimination. So whether you've ever bought, rented, or sold property, housing discrimination is real. And you guys, it has generational effects. Our guest today has been a realtor and broker for over 23 years. And trust me, she has seen and heard it all. So I can't wait to introduce you to our guest. But before we get deep into the conversation, I want to send our thoughts and prayers to all of the 8 families of those who were killed in yet another mass shooting in San Jose, California at the Valley Transportation Authority. We're also sending our prayers to those who were injured. You know, when is America going to stop having their love affair with guns? You know, we are one of the only developed nations that have mass shootings over and over and over again. You guys, this is America, and America got real issues, and this is definitely a topic that we need to talk about. And so before we get into our topic today on housing discrimination, I'm going to throw it over to my co-host. I'm going to throw it over to the one and only Sabrina Goodwin Monday out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Hey, Chris. Hey, First Lady. Hey, Gloria. Hey, Trina. It's so good to be here on a wonderful winning working Wednesday. Y'all the hardest working women in show business. I mean, y'all wear a lot of different hats and you wear them well. I know. We're like, whoo, here we go again. Certainly prayers go out. I mean, you guys, I think I heard there have been 15 mass shootings since Friday of last week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 days, 15 mass shootings in the USA. Something's got to give, y'all. Something's got to give. And so prayers for sure going up, but we cannot just keep putting a Band-Aid on this thing. Drastic measures must be taken. It's a lot of troubled people in the world, and we've got to see about it. They cannot get their hands on the guns. So here we are, excited about the topic you're bringing to us, Crisette, excited about our guest, throwing it to the West Coast. It's 92 degrees here today. Hot. When I tell you hot is hot. 92 degrees. So we're throwing it out to the West Coast. Caterina Harris Earl, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I missed y'all yesterday.
Baby.
I'm doing good. I missed y'all. Look, I was using hand signals for y'all. Y'all are like, oh my goodness. I missed y'all yesterday. I know that Jackie Glenn, I was listed, and that was a juicy show. I mean, we're bringing these topics, and I'm telling you, just to wake up right before Bible study, literally this morning before our Bible broadcast, that mass shooting came down, and it just weighs so heavy. I mean, that's an hour from my house, and it's just, I'm just shake my head. I just shake my head. And this is a deep topic. I mean, I'm excited to talk about this topic today because it's so real. And in one of the most expensive housing markets in America, it happens up in here all the time. And so it does affect generations. So Chris, I'm looking forward to it. So Gloria, how are you today?
I'm so good over here in the Baltimore, D.C. area. It's good. Can you hear me? I get my hand signals going. That's going good. Listen, y'all. Seriously, y'all. I just read that in Texas, everybody can have a handgun without any regulation. Everybody and anybody want a handgun. That's crazy. Starting. He's going to sign the document. Anybody who ever wants to have one, as long as you're not a felon, you can get a handgun. It's getting ready to get real serious here. So that is truly a conversation, And I'm excited about today's conversation. But let me tell you this. Okay, girlfriends, we talk about having girlfriends. We all got issues. But I'm going to celebrate Millicent Scott today on the Facebook page. Because you know what she said? She said, congratulations, Gloria. I like your haircut. Ask me if any of my girlfriends noticed I cut my hair off. Ask me if my husband noticed I got my hair off. Ask me if my niece ask me if my mother-in-law. Ask me if my son. Nobody noticed except Millicent. That's why we're on social media. For girlfriends on social media to notice that I cut all my hair off and I am back to Gloria Mayfield face.
You just slicked it back.
I thought it was just
go back to the hair show that we did.
I know she's recognition
Thank
driven.
you, Millicent.
Come on.
Okay, so we're going back to you, Crisette. What?
It looks beautiful, Gloria.
Never mind. All y'all, never mind. Millicent, you're appreciated. All y'all on the radio station who've never seen me before, I appreciate you too. We all need more girlfriends. That's what it's all about. All girlfriends. Go ahead, Chris. Take the show away. Take it away.
Oh my goodness, you guys. This topic here is one that is so important to all of us. You may not be thinking about buying a house. You may not be trying to sell a house, but at some point in your life, if it's not you, it's going to be your children or your children's children. And so this is just information that we need to know. So let me just share a little bit of the background of this problem. You guys, it has been over 50 years since the release of the Kerner Report and the passage of the Fair Housing Act. It was spurred by race-related unrest that broke out in more than 100 U.S. cities between 1965 and 1968. The Kerner Report denounced the structural barriers to economic equality afflicting Black communities in the United States. The report pointed to the role of white racism and the pervasive discrimination against and segregation of African Americans in housing, employment, and education in the creation and the perpetuation of two societies, one Black, one white, separate and unequal. The Fair Housing Act, which was passed in April of 1968 as Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act, was meant to eliminate overt discrimination and disparities in the housing market and ultimately end residential segregation. Specifically, it prohibited discrimination in the sale or rental of housing, the financing of housing, and the provision of brokerage services based on a person's inclusion in a protected class, including race, color, and natural origin. Now, while overt discrimination in the U.S. housing policy has been outlawed, systematic racism in the housing ecosystem still impact Black families, mostly through the actions of individual appraisers, as well as the brokers industry devaluation of majority Black communities. This is evidenced by such factors as the Black home ownership rate, which has barely budged past its 1966 rate of 46%. And the lower valuation of homes in Black neighborhoods, regardless of their quality. So it's 23% lower than homes in white neighborhoods and over 23% lower. And you guys, over 48,000 less per home. When I tell you that this issue is so important because it says while homes in metropolitan areas across the country skyrocketed in value, increasing on average by 68,000 from 1980 to 2015, after adjusting for inflation, homeowners in disproportionately Black and Latino and Hispanic neighborhoods gained wealth at only half the speed as homeowners in disproportionately white neighborhoods. When I tell you this has major consequences. And so on today, and we have more statistics that we want to share, but on today, I am so excited to welcome to We Got Issues Joy Santiago Clark, who has been a realtor and broker for over 2 decades as one of the nation's top agents, and she is the broker and president of Dwellings Unlimited. Joy was featured as the realtor expert on HGTV show My House is Worth What? And she was also featured realtor in an episode of House Hunters. Please help me welcome to We Got Issues, Joy Santiago Clark. Woo-hoo.
Hey, can you guys?
To have you on the show today, Joy. And you guys, I'm excited to have Joy. Joy is a great friend of me and my family, but she also, you guys, is the realtor who helped us sell our house of 18 wonderful years. And she is actively working with us to find our new forever home. All right. And so, Joy, we're excited that you are here. You guys, as I said, Joy has been a realtor for over 20 years. And of course, in her 20 plus years, I know she's seen and she's heard a lot. So, Joy, as we start this conversation, I just want to start just asking you, what made you want to become a realtor?
Anyway, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I listen to you every day, Monday through Friday, and you guys and you ladies, I should say, are amazing. So the question you asked me, Crisette, was how did I become a realtor? Well, I actually bought my first home in 1998, and it was a horrible transaction. And I told myself, I could do this. I went to real estate school, got my license, and the rest is history.
Wow. That is awesome. That's awesome. And you know what? Many times people find themselves doing things because of the experiences that they have had. So kudos to you for making the decision to step out there and to become a realtor. So Joy, you know what? Can you talk to us a little bit about the difference between, because I've heard people say that I'm a licensed real estate agent, but then I've also heard that people say, well, but I'm a member of the National Association of Realtors. What's the difference?
Well, Chris, I had to give you kudos for saying the word realtor correctly. It's actually realtor. It's not realtor. It's 2 syllables. So you must have done your homework on that, or you read the spelling, which I love. Good job, Chris. The difference is that when you're a realtor, you're a member of the National Association of Realtors. We have to do a little bit more training. We have a little bit more responsibility to the public and to our fellow realtors. Whereas a licensed real estate agent, you get your license from whatever state that you practice in, and you actually can practice real estate, but you don't have that level up of being having that extra responsibility and training.
Awesome. So you also, I know you've worked for real estate agencies, but now you have your own agency. So tell us a little bit about, how you got your own agency. And because on this show, we absolutely promote entrepreneurship.
Wait a minute, Chris. Oh my goodness. She's a new girlfriend. She in the tribe. She's the girlfriend, Force of Friendship tribe. She just elevating. I love it. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. So in 1998, I started working for companies, different real estate brokerage. And then I was with one of my mentors, Ralph Roberts, in Macomb County, which is where Warren is. I don't know if you guys are familiar. And about 8 years in, I decided, I want to do this on my own. I've learned enough. I've trained agents. I've managed agents. I've managed a company. And I said, let's do it. I come from a very entrepreneurial family. My parents came here from the Philippines in the 60s, and they had their own businesses. So I actually did the same thing. So I followed in their footsteps, being minority entrepreneurs in the United States. So that's my story there.
Well, that's awesome. And you know what? Talk a little bit about, Joy, the number of agents that you have working with you, because one of the things that I love is when we mentor other people that look to us. They are excited about what we're doing, they want to do it, and they want to do it at a higher level. And I so remember the day that you came to my home, and you had a young African American guy with you, and you introduced him, and you said, if it was okay if he just kind of watched you, because you were mentoring him. And I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. So talk a little bit about those that you are mentoring in your company.
Well, I have 20 agents plus and growing. They actually, and I don't know if you know, it's hard. It's hard. I don't like managing people, to be honest. But I love teaching. I love teaching. I know that you got to pass it on to our youth. The gentleman that came over, he's just graduated from Howard University, and he wanted to get into real estate. And his dad said, I want you to work with Joy because she knows about real estate. So I took him under my wing. I brought him, and he's so eager. So it's really important that we do that. We also have—
Treat him nice, Joy. Treat him very nice. Treat him very nice. Bison to bison. Treat him very nice.
I got to tell him. Hopefully he's listening. So all my agents, and it wasn't on purpose, it just happened, are minorities, and it's what it is. It's just, everybody came to me and they're just like, hey, we want to work with you. And, we do a lot of business in the city of Detroit, and it just worked out great. And, I love my team.
Wow. Well, you know what, Joy? We are getting ready to get deeper into the conversation about discrimination in the housing market. And I know that you can share a lot of your experience of being in real estate, and we're getting ready to go to a break. And so after we come back from the break, I want to ask you the question, what are some of the things that you have noticed when it comes to discrimination, especially with Black buyers purchasing in white neighborhoods? So right after the break, we'll be back with you, and you can answer that question for us. You are listening to 9:10 a.m. The Superstation. We'll be right back.
Hey, Facebook, can you guys hear me okay? I'm excited to be talking to you. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Okay. Oh, okay. So Facebook, we got more signals going on tonight. We got signals over here, signals over there. Hey, Felicia, everybody's asking, how do you have Felicia Mayfield Banks? That's hilarious, right? Because you have both my ex-husband's last names. That's what we're talking about. That is hilarious. So you got to fill us in on the sideline about that. But you guys, seriously, this is such a big deal, because I did a refinance on my home. And in doing the refinance on my home, I think I came up against a little of that as well, the discrimination in the housing market. So that's going to be very interesting to see. I'm so excited that you guys are clued in today. And you know what? We're growing the Facebook Force of Friendship family. So we love that. And I hope that this is feeding into you guys. If you had a circumstance, or one who's having a circumstance, like I've been texting people since we've been on the show to let them know, I know you're into real estate. I know you're into real estate. And I know you're thinking about buying. I know you're thinking about selling. So you need to listen to this show because it's going to be really good. And so I want to know that. But if you guys have some stories, even if you have some stories that don't have anything to do with that, but real estate stories, we definitely want you to call in at 313-778-7600. And if you have never called in, come on now. Y'all know y'all need to call in because they're excited. Think about this. Think about the examples of the women that we're bringing you. Some were corporate, some are entrepreneurial, but all of them are fierce. Like all of them are fierce. And we're not just going to have women. We're going to have some other people on this. So you guys, you might have some people that you'd like to recommend that we bring onto the show, because we got issues. We got issues. You got issues. Everybody's got issues. So I'm excited to listen to what you guys think that we should do. We love people who can take us to a higher level. We love bringing you people who we can learn from, who we can love on, who we can get lessons from, and that we can really grow in the things that we're doing. So that's going to make a difference. I am excited, because I'm from Detroit and Joy operates in Detroit. And my daughter-in-law is thinking about turning houses in Detroit. So this is very interesting. We just always peep into other areas of our lives that we never know about. And that's very, very interesting. So you might know somebody. Here we go.
All right. We are back. And when I tell you this show right here, we're talking about housing discrimination. And again, at some point in your life, you're either going to buy, sell, rent some property, and you want to make sure that you are not being discriminated against. And on today, we're so excited to have our guest, Joy Santiago Clark, who is the proprietor, she is the person in control of Dwellings Unlimited. And so prior to the break, we were talking about discrimination and how sometimes I know when you have African Americans wanting to move into the suburbs, into areas where it might be predominantly Caucasians that are living there, sometimes they come up against discrimination. And so, Joy, can you just talk a little bit about that issue and also share with us, some things that individuals can do if they feel like that is happening to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm going to tell you a story that actually happened a couple days ago. I get a call from my old broker, Ralph Roberts, and my mentor and friend, and he is renovating a house in one of the suburbs in Macomb County. And he said to me, Joy, the house isn't ready yet. So I sent a Black couple over there to look at it, just one of his clients who happened to be Black. And he said they drove around, they walked around the house. And then the next day, he saw the neighbor across the street. The neighbor across the street, white lady in her 80s, ran across the street to him and said, Ralph, you can't, what are you doing? You can't have any Black people live in the neighborhood. What are you doing? This is an all white block. All the neighbors don't want anybody living here other than white people. And this 2021, 2 days ago.
2021.
If you can imagine my jaw dropping, and I said, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. This is happening.
In 2021, Joy? 2021?
In 2021. 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
This is not deep Mississippi. This is
right. Exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, Lordy.
Yes, in Michigan. And it's just shocking to me that this really happened, that it is actually still happening in 2021. And it's alarming. It happens more often than we probably know. And, I guess I'm thinking, okay, he said to them, Black people can live anywhere they want to live. And she said, oh no, not in this block, Ralph. You cannot have, everybody's been here for a while. It's not going to happen. You got to do it. So she comes over the next day, talks to the workers says the same thing. You can't have Black people live in this neighborhood. And so it's a problem. So Ralph always asked me about race sensitive situations because he's a white guy and he says he's ignorant sometimes. He just doesn't know. So he asked me what he should do. And I said, Ralph, you know what? You're the white people, a lot of white people created this institution. It's your job as another white person to dismantle this institution in the way it is. And so the first thing he did in answer to your question, Crisette, is if something like this happens to you, who do you call? So Ralph actually called Fair Housing in Detroit and he made a report. And he said that there's a racist lady living across the street of a house I own that I'm going to sell. I want it to sell to whoever I want to sell to, and this is going to be a problem. And so I guess, long and short of it is that apparently the city police is going to come by and talk to her. But, where does all this end? Where does it start? Where does it end? Why does this happen? It's amazing to me.
And you know what, Joy, just thinking about that, when you hear situations like that, you try to almost pinch yourself and say, am I living in 2020 or is this 1927? Is this when, my parents were living? Because, you would think we would have come a lot further than where we are. But what I do know is that, even in 2020, there's still, some things that sellers and realtors can do to try to prevent African Americans and people of color, period, from moving into affluent neighborhoods or neighborhoods where the residents, would prefer to keep it pristine, to keep it, just all, white. But we have to be very careful. So they'll do things like showing applicants listings in a specific neighborhood, not showing all of the neighborhoods where they're available listings. So they kind of steer them to the neighborhoods that they think, oh, you know what? Now this is the neighborhood for you. And I'm always the person that say, I don't like anybody counting my money. If I can afford to live somewhere or go into any kind of store that I want to go in, it's not for you to say, whether I can afford it or not afford it. And a true story, I can remember a couple of years ago going into a store that sold really high-end clothes and nobody came to help me. Nobody said, can I help you? I mean, they just looked and just assumed that I couldn't afford it. So I politely walked out and made a mental note. And I'm not the person that said, well, I'm going to buy something just to prove that I can afford it. No, my thing is I'm not buying anything because I'm not supporting a store, a business that don't look at me as a customer, as someone that can afford to make a purchase there. And so those are some of the things that I know happen. They steer, certain types of people in certain areas. Yes, Gloria.
You know what? One of the things I'd like Joy to expound upon, because one of the things that you're talking about with this discrimination is it leads right back to the economic base of our culture, and that it specifically, directly, and hugely affects us financially and generationally. But it also expands. It's not just the buying and the selling of the house. I did a refinance on my home when the interest rates dropped. And I had 3 people who, it's a unique property, so it's already very hard to do. But I got 3 different appraisals. And I could tell by the people who came who was going to give me a better appraisal, the way they received me, the way that they talked to me, the way they were interested in their conversation. And I know it was partly discrimination in that. And so even in the appraisal process, because if I was getting it appraised in order to sell it, it was going to dictate the amount of equity I could have pulled out of it in order to purchase somewhere new. So, as we're talking here, Joy, I would love for you to expand on the various areas the discrimination touches. It touches where you move. It touches who you work with. It touches the offices that you deal with. It touches with the realtors that there's racist realtor. One doesn't want to deal with the other, then the housing, then the banking. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Gloria. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, when Chris and I were putting her house on market, she said to me, hey, do I need to take down these pictures and things like that? And I said, what do you mean pictures? And she said, pictures of family. And, I said, well, it's really up to you. So she made the decision because she heard the horror stories like you're describing of values going down and things like that. So she made the decision to do that. So as we're looking for houses, we're looking in these homes in affluent areas where she wants to live, where she can afford to live. And all the pictures of the families, of white families, are up, proudly displayed anywhere. And Crisette says to me, that's really interesting. I bet you these families did not even think about, not even a little bit, think about taking these pictures down, because they know when they come in, regardless, they're white. They got the white privilege. They're going to sell the house for whatever they want to. So it is, and it happens. And Chris and I were talking about recently, somebody had to get their house appraised.
Mm-hmm.
And he got it in. It came in low. And this is, I
Right.
can't remember the city, Chris. I think you remember
Indianapolis.
the city. It came in at
Indianapolis. $100,000
Indianapolis.
difference.
Yes.
3
Correct.
appraisals.
It's just, yes, it's insane. And so she came in and the appraisal came in low, and then she got a white friend to come in and pose as the owner of the house.
Right.
And the appraisal came right up another 40 or 50 grand or some amount that is
more,
obvious.
$110,000. It went from $110,000 to $259,000.
Jeez.
That's craziness.
That's not a little bit.
It's crazy. And
Joy, are there any laws? Are there any laws that we need to know about? Because this should be unlawful. We know it should be, but it's not. It happens every day, all day. What laws, what legislation should we be looking at to stop this? I remember back in the day, redlining banks, blah, blah, blah. So in the real estate market, what laws or legislation should we be looking at?
I mean, there's not really a law other than the one from 1968, sadly enough. And it needs to be changed. There isn't any, it goes into practice. There isn't anything you can do other than make complaints to fair housing. And sadly, here's what the saddest part about, and let me say, ladies, I'm married to a Black man, and Gloria, we recently had our house appraised for a refinance. And my husband said to me, take down all the pictures. I'm not going to be here. This is a Black man telling me to do this. And I said, what do you mean? I wish they would. I wish they would discriminate, because I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to make every complaint to every department and go to the news and everything else. But he said, no. We gotta do this. We gotta take it down. I said, that's crazy. So, it comes with practice. It comes with people not taking it, not letting it happen, and making sure, that they let people know if you feel like you've been discriminated, like fair housing, complains to the licensing boards if they think that they were discriminated against, because appraisers are licensed, real estate agents are licensed. Those are who you make the complaints to.
Wow.
You got the other incident where you don't know whether you're safe getting a Black realtor or white realtor because of how they're going to make a deal with the realtor. I mean, so that affects you personally, that someone may or may not choose you because of the color of your skin or the clients that you might represent. That carries on to your employees. I mean, so it's even within every industry that we have to deal with this, and you have to, like they say, stay woke and keep your ears to the fire. And have you ever had any circumstances like that in your experience, Joy?
Sure. I mean, I've been not chosen because I'm Asian American or Filipino American. I've definitely not been chosen, and because I've seen it. I see the successes of my white colleagues. I mean, they are going through the moon, and I think I'm pretty successful in doing what I'm doing. I'm working with ladies like Crisette Ellis. I have a pretty good client list. But, I see that my client list is predominantly minority because I'm a minority, and I'll tell you, I have a good friend of mine, a colleague who is also a broker owner of his own company. And he says, Joy, I'm not putting you put pictures up of all your agents and yourself on your website. I'm not doing that. And he's a black man, and he owns it. He's a minority. And he says, I'm not doing that because I don't want to be prejudged. And, to me, that's just ridiculous. I mean, why do we have to do that? Why do minorities have to think about how we're perceived in doing business? Can you read and write? Can you add? Can you do the business? Are you experienced? Do you know? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you, do you know what you're doing? That's the only thing that should matter.
Exactly. Hey, Joy, we have a couple of callers. Sylvia, are you there? Sylvia? Hi, Sylvia. Thank you for calling. We got issues. What's your issue of today?
Okay, I was concerned you kind of touched on it. But selling your house, the realtor will tell you, take down all your pictures, and you have to leave the house. My sister-in-law recently sold our house in the central area of Seattle, where the housing market has really skyrocketed. We wanted to take her there. You kind of don't recognize nothing because this was predominantly white. So, to me, my question is, why do we have to take down our pictures and leave the house? Joy, you want to answer that one? Oh, sure, yeah. So, the question, we touched on that a little bit. The answer is that you don't. You shouldn't have to, but it happens. It happens, and if a realtor told you to do that,
but it's a reality we have to face. It's because people are prejudging, and they think that there's so many stereotypes and ugly stereotypes that people tend to look at when they're looking at houses, and if it's owned by a minority or a Black family or Asian family. There's so many ugly stereotypes, like the smells in the house. Is it going to smell like this food and that food if it's owned by this ethnicity? So that's what we're doing.
And I think, Joy, is it just a typical rule? I know that when we had individuals coming to look at our house, we pretty much left the house. And now, we didn't have a whole lot coming at the beginning because we were right in the pandemic and we just didn't want to do that. But is that across the board where pretty much the seller of the house is not there when the house is being sold?
Yeah, that's a pretty standard procedure. It's not so much for that they don't see you. It's more so that they just want to be able to free to talk about your home and not insult you. And if they say I don't like this or I don't like this, they just kind of feel more comfortable talking without the owner there.
Great. And I think that absolutely makes sense. We have another caller, Tony. Tony, are you with us?
I am with you. Hi.
Hey, Tony.
Hey. Thank you for calling. Yes. So I recently sold a home about 2 years ago, I think, in a very desirable neighborhood. You can't put a house on the market and have it last in that neighborhood. And I asked my realtor, should I take my artwork down and my pictures and be white guy that I went to high school with? She was like, absolutely not. That's crazy. You don't have to do that. So the house was listed, immediately started showing, immediately got offers that were so low I wouldn't even counter. They were so low. Wow. Drove all the way back to that city, took everything off the walls, put it under the bed, took everything down, and 2 days later sold at full ask, no closing costs, no conditions, no blah, blah, blah. So, wow, it makes a difference. Tony. I think it makes a difference. Yeah. Tony, what? Crazy, right? Because when we were selling a house in 1999, we were interviewing listing agents. And the first gentleman was a Caucasian gentleman, and his third sentence was, I would recommend that you take down your artwork and your family photos because I think you'll have a better opportunity to sell. I was flabbergasted. And the next agent that we interviewed was a Black woman, and I asked her, and she said, absolutely not. She said, as a matter of fact, I have a buyer for your house. It's a Black couple that's moving here next month, and she sold our house in 2 days to that couple with my artwork still on the It matters. Wow. Isn't that crazy? It is crazy. That is, and you know what? I mean, and don't you just marvel when people say that there's no racism in America? I mean, right. That is just like, are you for real? How come they even fix their face to say it? You know what I mean? It makes no sense. Fix your face. Fix your face to say it. Wow. And then the problem is that people, you hear what they say, and you feel really bad because they're trying to give you the best advice, and it's not good advice. It's advice, it's insulting. It's everything. They're trying to do it. Who was trying to say what we knew was going to happen? But the reality is it hurts our feelings, and it hurts. It's a real serious. Because he was correct in 1999 in what he was saying, but the fact that we even have to exist in that reality is painful. I have no words, which is rare. Right, exactly. You know what? Thank you so much, Tony, for calling in and sharing your story for us, because there is real.
over and over. I remember a couple of months ago watching the story of the married couple. It was a biracial couple, and they were selling their house, and they had their pictures up. And the wife, she thought something was wrong when the estimate came back, the appraisal came back, and it was less than all the other homes in the neighborhood. And so she decided to take all of the pictures of she and her husband and their kids, because they had biracial children, and just leave the pictures of her husband, who was Caucasian, up. And then they showed the house, and I promise you, the house went up over $100,000 with just his picture. So, I mean, we hear the stories over and over and over again. But listen to this. This is really, really important. When we talk about discrimination, it is absolutely something that is generational, and it absolutely hurts our ability to create wealth. It says discrimination stunts wealth building for Black Americans. Housing discrimination derives people of more than a place to live. From wealth building perspective, it has devastated the Black Americans' ability to transmit generational wealth. According to 2019 analysis of the Urban Institute in Washington, D.C., think tank found that the average housing wealth at age 60 or 61 for those who had purchased a home at age 45 or older was $26,668 for Blacks. Check this out. And it was $104,866 for whites. Is that unbelievable? $26,668 for Blacks, $104,866 for white. It goes on to say the wealth gap is largely attributable to the fact that a smaller percentage of Blacks are able to buy first homes before the age of 35, and their first homes are of lower value and purchased with more debt and less equity than whites.
Wow.
Is that absolutely amazing? So when you talk about discrimination in housing, you see how it becomes pervasive. You see how it affects generations to come. Absolutely.
And I just want to add this in. I have to rep for the Bay Area. This situation happened in the Bay Area where the houses are crazy, and it was a $500,000 difference in Marin County, which is a very, very high-end county. Someone had added 1,000 square feet to their house, and it originally appraised for $1 million, just under $1 million, and then another appraisal was $1.5 million. So you talk about the difference, a $500,000 difference. 500,000. So I'm just sitting here listening, and this is affecting my health like right now, because I can feel my blood pressure going up. It affects every area, because we know that finances end up affecting your health and the difference. I mean, this is how much kids have of student loans, because not having that equity in your home, refinancing your home, so I just wanted to add in a couple things that Carla from Facebook said. I had a seller ask me what kind of name was the last name of the person that put in an offer, which is indirect discrimination. So I wanted to ask you, Joy, obviously, as you're working with Asian Americans, I know that you're coming across name differences, and we certainly come across it with Black Americans. And unless you name yourself, Sally something. So can you talk about that? Just even the sight unseen because of the name itself.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, I'm even judged based on my name, just for a very similar example. I mean, my main name is Santiago, but I don't have a drop of Spanish blood in me. We talked about that. But yes, people prejudge you based on your name. I have seen and talked to sellers who have said, okay, what's this name? What's this last name? What's the ethnicity of this last name? If it's, Lee, or if it's Chang, they think it's an Asian person, or if they think it's or even a first name that might have an ethnic first name, Black first name or whatever. They say, well, who is that? Do they have enough money? And I'm like, okay, do you see the documents that we presented as proof? Does their bank statement match the name with the dollar signs next to it? That's all you need to know about, if they can do it. It's pretty interesting how much people get discriminated. And I'm sure that when there's multiple offer situations, which is right now in this market today, people are even probably subconsciously looking at names and saying, oh, well, this person would probably qualify better than this person based on a last name.
So for those that are purchasing, can you just talk about, for those that are purchasing a home, as someone else Felicia brought up about interest rates being higher, what advice can you give for those that are wanting to purchase their first home or investment property or what have you?
There's a lot of programs out right now. So that was a really good question. And the short answer to that is what Crisette was saying. It goes back generations of people not learning about credit scores or having enough income and things like that, because all that makes a difference. How much you put down, what your credit score is, those all make a difference in what they are. So you have to, if I'm trying to teach people to be proactive and making sure you get a good interest rate and everything, is make sure you save your money up, make sure you keep your credit intact. These are things, minorities already are against the 8 ball to be approved just based on a name, just based on the fact that you have to check the box, or they want you to check the box when you fill out your application. So, kind of learn what you have to do and talk to a good realtor and a good mortgage person.
Hey,
We
Joy.
have another.
Oh, you got a
Hold
call?
on one
Go
second.
ahead, Chris.
Yeah, we do have a caller. That after the caller, Sabrina, definitely jump in. Drea, are you there? Are you there, Drea? Hey.
Hey.
Thank you for calling. Hey, how are you? Good. Affects buying and selling homes. It affects when you need to have home repairs too. Because when we had our townhouse, and I told them that we had mold in our house, I knew that if it was a Caucasian person in there, they would have fixed the house. And it proved so, because after we got rid of the house, a Caucasian family bought the house, and the mold was suddenly discovered. So, yeah. Wow. So we got rid of the house, and that's why we now do the RV living, because we didn't want to deal with the houses anymore. Wow. And it changes change your whole living situation. Change the whole living situation. Definitely. It probably does, definitely, even when you have damage to your house, it probably affects even the insurance appraisal that they give you. Is that what you were referring to, Drea? It affected the insurance appraisal. It affected us trying to get buyers. It affected everything all the way around. So we did a rent to own. So we decided at that point we didn't even want to own it anymore. Wow. So now you're living the RV life. Yes, I'm loving it. That's all right. Drea, thank you so much for being our faithful listener and faithful caller. We truly appreciate you. Thank you for calling us on today.
Love you too. Sabrina, before Drea, you were going to say you were asking Joy something.
I was just hats off to every woman here who's hearing our voice. We endure a lot on a daily just because of the color of our skin. And several of the viewers have said it's not right. We're not surprised, but when we have to address the wrongs each day, it just is very painful. We keep on keeping on because we are not only survivors, we are thrivers. Joy,
right.
in this market, the housing boom is crazy after the pandemic. I mean, real estate market is absolutely bonkers. In North Carolina, you can't find a piece of property because people are moving in from the West Coast, the East Coast, just snapping up wherever they can. How have you seen in Michigan the real estate market? I mean, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market. Talk to the people.
I can talk about that. Shoot. Go ahead, Joe.
It's definitely a
People are
seller's
like putting in. I got a girlfriend in the housing market right now, and she said people are putting in 30, 40, 50 above the asking price just to get a look at it. They're putting down earnest money of 25, 30,000 when it was 10,000, 5,000. So talk about that a little bit, Joy.
Well, that's definitely, you're definitely absolutely right. I mean, it's a seller's market. People are doing $50,000 above asking. They have to be well qualified. Cash buyers win over mortgage buyers.
Wow.
And then, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. And the people that are doing, the FHA, like the first time home buyers, people that don't have good credit and things like that, they are losing out because they don't even get considered. Because they look at cash and conventional. The more money you have, the more qualified you are, and that's who buys the house. So it is a crazy, insane market. In 20 years, I've never seen people bidding this high above asking.
Wow.
Never seen it in 20 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Trust me, we have looked at more houses than, I'm telling you, a house will come on the market and it is
running
gone
over there
within a couple of days. Seriously. But that's just where the market is. You know what? In the Detroit metropolitan area, and I'm sure in a lot of metropolitan areas across the country, there's a lot of gentrification that's going on as well. I know, right now we're in our family home, and right here, in the Palmer Park, Detroit area. I mean, I grew up, in my first house, I should say, was in this area, and it was predominantly, African American area. Gloria, you're familiar with Livernois, the Avenue of Fashion, and all of that. I mean, a thriving area. And I'll tell you, coming back from the suburbs back to this area, I'll be honest to say I have been very surprised to see how many Caucasians are in the area. I mean, I'm out jogging, they're there. I'm looking as I'm turning, they're walking their dogs, and I'm saying, wow, what is that all about? Because typically, as African Americans, sometimes we will stay, but sometimes, we want to move to the suburbs for a myriad of reasons. And you don't hear that often where Caucasians are moving back to the city. So talk a little bit about that, Joy.
Chris, that's gentrification at its finest, unfortunately. And it's happened not only in Detroit, it happens in a lot of the major cities that are actually coming back, quote unquote, coming back and be revitalized. And it's pretty alarming because, and one of the hats I wore was being on the board of the Villages CDC, which is a nonprofit organization in the Villages area of Detroit. And one of the things that we worked on was we met with the community, we met with the people that, were being pushed out by all of, the people coming in and bringing up the real estate prices and things like that. And everybody was worried. The people that have been holding down the fort for 40 years in Detroit and dealing with all the issues that Detroit has. And it is a major issue. And it needs to change. There needs to be, people need to be conscious when they're moving into a city where people have been for years. They're taking over neighborhoods, so to speak. Yeah, and it's really, really sad. And I really hope that the people that are moving in and quote unquote taking over, because that's what the people are here saying, that they acknowledge that,
Wow, you guys, this is all right. Well, this has been such an amazing topic, an amazing show. And Joy, you have been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for being on We Got Issues.
Awesome
and
show.
We want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. And I promise you, we'll be back tomorrow from 6 to 7 with another hot topic. Thank you. See you guys on tomorrow.
Great job, Joy. Awesome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes.
That was fun.
That was so good. You were so brilliant, Joy. Brilliant.
Joy.
Thank you
Great
so much.
information. Great enlightening.
While we're still live, a few people wanted to know about getting in contact with you. We did not say that on the air.
Oh, well, you can Google my name, or you can, my phone number, my cell, it's public. It's 313-980-0400, or you can hit me up, inbox me on Facebook, friend me, whatever,
Is your name are you under your name on Facebook?
Yep, Joy Santiago Park.
Are you going to get a lot of friends? Okay.
I'm excited. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to tell you, Joy is the best realtor. I promise you. She has been so patient. I mean, I done see my house 5 times. No, this ain't it. I done had Chuck go look at a house, and then I say, nah, I don't want it. And they're like, don't bring me to another house that you say you want. And then when I want to get it, you say, nah, that's not the house. When I tell you, finding the right realtor is so
key.
Important. So important. So Joy, you were absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being with us.
That was good.
Thank you so much.
I love it.
Be encouraged, our friends. Be encouraged. We know we don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but we are positive, powerful, not Pollyannish. We are going to bring the real deal to you. So keep your head up, friends. Keep your head up out there. Go get what you deserve to have.
Thank you, Sabrina. Keep your head up.
Well, you know what? We've had 3 heavy days of shows. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's been pretty heavy. And so we just got to start trying to just keep on keeping on.
Awesome. All right, we'll see y'all.
Okay, see you guys.